The Devil Wears Prada Style Analysis. If you've watched my very old, slightly cringy videos about films with amazing costume design, then you'll know that I have a fondness for Patricia Field's costuming work in the 2006 Devil Wears Prada film. It was a well-deserved Oscar nomination that might have won had it not been such a tough year. Marie Antoinette, Dreamgirls, and Curse of the Golden Flower, I wouldn't want to go up against that. Since releasing that video, I've received a lot of comments saying, "That isn't costume design, she's just styling designer pieces," and I find that simply absurd. The idea that it's necessary to hand-stitch every article of clothing is an incredibly dated definition of costume design. A controversial opinion, I know, but it's true. Costume design above all else is intended to help with world building, storytelling, and character development. If your character is a French aristocrat in the 1700s, of course it would make sense to create their garments from scratch, as that's how clothes were made at the time. But if your film is set any time after 1990, would the characters be wearing custom handmade pieces, or would they be buying off the rack? There's a pretty obvious answer, and it's for that reason alone that I firmly believe The Devil Wears Prada has absolutely perfect costume design. And I wish contemporary costuming got more recognition. Even costume designer Patricia Field shares the same sentiment, which she voiced in an interview with Racked. Quote, "In general, the Academy's costume design section tends to show a preference for period pieces. Contemporary fashion doesn't really get its due." These characters are living in New York and work at a world-renowned fashion magazine. Their clothing needs to reflect that. And yes, sometimes their outfits are over the top and busy, but that's a Patricia Field staple. I remember when the film first came out, there were many in the fashion industry who insisted that it was nothing like real life. And yes, that's somewhat true. No junior assistant is going to be wearing a different Chanel piece every other day, no matter who you're friends with. But that's done entirely on purpose. In an interview, Field said, quote, "My job is to present an entertainment, a world people can visit and take a little trip. If they want a documentary, they can watch the History Channel." Unlike other films set in the fashion industry from the same decade, like 13 Going on 30, Zoolander, and Confessions of a Shopaholic, many of the outfits worn in The Devil Wears Prada could still be worn today. And I think that's a large part of what makes the film so rewatchable and, in a sense, timeless. You're not thinking, "God, that outfit is hideous," or "This feels so old." On the off chance you've never seen The Devil Wears Prada, which is something you should remedy as soon as possible, the film has a fairly simple premise. It's about a girl, Andrea Sachs, who starts working as an assistant to the editor-in-chief of Runway, a fictitious fashion magazine. Her boss, Miranda Priestley, is utterly impossible to please and is an absolutely terrifying person to be around. The movie follows Andy as she struggles with balancing her work life and her personal life, and how much she's willing to sacrifice to succeed. Every single actor in this film shines. The script is flawless, and it's just a straight-up good movie. The only thing I would change is having Andy realize her friends are trash, and that she doesn't need their toxicity in her life.
You got a job at a fashion magazine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is it, a phone interview?
Oh, wow. Don't be a jerk.
Now that we've got that long-winded intro out of the way, we can focus on the real point of this video, an analysis of the clothing worn by the three main female characters in The Devil Wears Prada: Emily Charlton, Miranda Priestley, and Andrea Sachs. We'll be talking about what makes her look unique and how it relates to them individually. And yes, despite what you may think, what you wear is a reflection of your mentality, personality, and psyche. I'll let my friend Michelle over at Clever and Chic explain.
Fashion and style overlap, but differ greatly in nature. As Yves Saint Laurent stated, fashions fade, style is eternal. This is referencing how fashion is a collective, consisting of many groups that are constantly evolving. Because it is an art, there are other variables such as trends added on that make the nature of fashion quite fast-paced. But this is where style differs from it. Style is developed by long-lasting factors, such as values, interests, belief systems, and personal influences. Your personal style is unique to you, even if others fall under the same category of style, because it is a combination of all that you think, feel, want, and do. Clothing is a tangible depiction of a person's social and personal identity, giving those around them an idea of who they are and who they aspire to become. It doesn't necessarily mean playing a part to achieve a look. but rather using your own personality, intelligence, and experiences to create the look in a manner that makes your external image match who you are internally. There are times where fashion is not an extension of oneself, though, but rather a form of protection that creates a symbolic boundary to protect the person based on their emotional state in relation to society and culture. There are times where someone's style is true to their mental state, rather than their identity. For example, this could mean adapting to fashion around others, or taking on a different style in order to harmonize with an environment. Personal style is very powerful and has an inherent comfort due to how specific looks have a direct relationship with certain concepts. By wearing a piece, you're taking on the principles linked to it that were created by the designer because of the meanings within their fashion. It gives a sense of belonging and also can strengthen a person internally through their own ideals as well as physically by creating the image that they want to have in order to display all or specific parts of themselves that they want to share.
Now, let's get into the video. Emily Charlton, the only Emily who deserves to go to Paris. Miranda's snarky senior assistant is played by Emily Blunt in one of her earliest film roles. We meet her 3 minutes into the movie and she's a perpetual comic presence throughout the film. Because the majority of the film is told through Andy's perspective and what she experiences, we don't learn much about Emily's personal life. And that's not because she isn't a fully dimensional character, it's because she has no desire to share those things. They aren't friends, they just work together.
You doing anything fun this weekend?
Yes.
I rarely say this to people who aren't me, but you have got to calm down. Bloody hell. Excuse me, where do you think you're going?
What we do know about Emily is that she lives, eats, and breathes fashion, with her ultimate goal being to go with Miranda to Fashion Week in Paris. And girl, same.
Most importantly, I get to go with her to Paris for Fashion Week in the fall. I get to wear couture, I go to all the shows and all the parties, I meet all of the designers, it's divine.
I remember when I first watched the movie in theaters, I absolutely despised Emily. At the time, I thought she was being unnecessarily rude to Andy, who was just trying her best. But now as an adult who has actually worked in the field, I totally understand why Emily is so hostile at the beginning. Andy starts working at Runway with absolutely no fashion knowledge, openly expressing that she thinks the whole thing is a joke, and seemingly putting in little effort to learn. If someone acted that way about something you were passionate about and worked tirelessly for and continued to get rewarded for it, wouldn't you be mad too?
I love my job, I love my job, I love my job.
Who's Miranda?
Oh my God, I will pretend you did not just ask me that. She's the editor-in-chief of Runway, not to mention a legend.
So you don't read Runway?
No.
And before today, you had never heard of me?
No. Andrea, Runway is a fashion magazine, so an interest in fashion is crucial. I hope you know that this is a very difficult job, for which you are totally wrong. And if you mess up, my head is on the chopping block.
Okay, can you please spell Gabbana?
Run-throughs are a huge deal. I don't know why you don't know that.
Throughout the film, we can see that Emily loves Runway, and to her, this is the dream job, not a stepping stone like it is to Andy. She genuinely respects and admires Miranda and considers her a legend in the industry. It's interesting to see how different Emily acts when she's conversing with Miranda versus with Andy. With Miranda, she fawns and is relatively docile, even nervous at times, just like any person would be when interacting with one's idol. Whereas around Andy, Emily is cool, curt, confident, and commanding. Honestly, kudos to Emily Blunt for playing the nuances of this character so brilliantly. The harshness and rough edges that make up Emily's very British personality are perfectly represented in her wardrobe, which is made up of a variety of alternative, at least in the fashion world, brands like Vivienne Westwood and Rick Owens. Patricia Field said she wanted Emily's wardrobe to be, quote, so on edge, she's almost falling off. Emily's outfits throughout the film follow a fairly basic formula of dark autumnal colors mixed with interesting silhouettes and a combination of hard and soft textures for a unique yet wearable look. And most of the time, she has a waist-cinching belt. It was the 2000s after all. This style is incredibly representative of her personality, which, while seemingly mean and prickly at first, is actually there to cover up a sensitive side that she has no choice but to hide in order to survive the industry. Emily is first introduced in this black and brown ensemble, colors we'll see her wear regularly throughout the film. Not only are they classic colors, never going out of style, they're also representative of her slightly cold and harsh demeanor. With its metallic embellishments and accessories, the outfit comes off as disinviting. If you gave her a hug, which she would never let you do, it wouldn't be comfortable. The bolero jacket with its strong, wide shoulders make Emily literally take up more space, showing us her desire for attention as well as her innate confidence, not only in herself but in her personal style. Her next outfit, a metallic flowy top tucked into a midi skirt with a fitted black blazer, actually reminds me of Miranda's that same day, just inverted with an emphasis on black instead of gold. While they share a similar silhouette and color palette, Emily's ensemble comes off as experimental while Miranda's is classic. It makes sense that Emily would take style inspiration from Miranda, not only because she admires her, but because she'd know that Miranda would inherently approve of the ensemble. It's in the little details, like the green eyeshadow and the accessories, that showcase Emily's individuality. Emily's next outfit of note happens to be one of my favorite pieces from the entire movie. The brown gingham wrap dress is romantic and chic, while the ruching on the bust adds the contemporary twist we've come to associate with the character. I've always found the combination of brown and white utterly charming. Blame it on that one dress from Pretty Woman.
I refuse to be sick. I'm wearing Valentino, for crying out loud.
At the charity event where Emily laments being sick because she's wearing Valentino, she's a touch toned down in comparison to her usual looks. It's a form-fitting gown with beaded detailing, but otherwise, it's fairly simple. The three women look like a group, and considering Miranda is also wearing Valentino, I have to wonder if Emily did it on purpose for approval. Sadly, we don't see much of Emily for the rest of the movie, not only because Andy is busy dealing with her own drama, but because she's effectively put out of commission after getting hit by a car. I can't imagine how awful Emily must feel during all of this. She's been working her ass off as Miranda's assistant and has essentially been starving herself so she can look the way she thinks she has to in Paris, just to be cruelly told that she doesn't get to go. I'd be so disappointed.
You're the one who said that you don't really care about this stuff. You don't really care about fashion, you just want to be a journalist. And what a pile of bollocks!
But we eventually come to find out that this hasn't put a damper on Emily's dream. When we see her again back at the office in spite of a broken leg, she's as stylish as ever. She's wearing heeled boots, a plaid jacket, and a black tulle skirt with a purple belt to give the look a pop of color and some shape. If I had a broken leg, you wouldn't find me in anything other than sweats. And heels? No way in hell. What we can learn from this outfit, which is quite similar to one we've seen her in before, is that besides being wildly resilient, Emily still has confidence in herself and her abilities. Despite the struggles, she doesn't feel the need to change herself like Andy does, not in her values nor in her way of dressing. I'm positive that Emily would still be in fashion today, probably giving another young girl as hard a time as she got working for Miranda, and she'd definitely have a closet full of vintage Vivienne Westwood. Miranda Priestley. The so-called devil, Miranda Priestley's character is heavily inspired by American Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour, although Meryl Streep and Patricia Field actually took inspiration for her style from Liz Tilberis, editor-in-chief at Harper's Bazaar in the 90s. Note the white hair. Anna Wintour is known for her signature look, which I'm simply going to describe as conservative English woman with money, and Patricia Field didn't want to replicate that. In an interview she stated, "I didn't reference Anna Wintour. What I wanted to do was to create a character that was the biggest editor-in-chief of a fashion magazine." And in a different interview said, "The point was to create something new and beautiful." This results in the character having a clean-cut, classic look made up of bold statement jackets, eye-catching accessories, and sleek skirts, dresses, and pants. She looks effortless yet expensive, which makes sense as she's been around designer clothing for so long. Miranda knows what she likes and she knows what looks good on her. She's not going to waste her time on the hot new trend that'll be out of fashion in a year. It shows how self-assured, to the point of pompousness, Miranda is. Her wardrobe is largely made up of pieces from Valentino, Fendi, Donna Karan, Bill Blass, and of course, Prada. Before we see Miranda Priestley in the flesh, we see other characters react to the news of her pending arrival.
Oh my god. No, no, no!
All right, everyone, gird your loins.
The entire office is in a tizzy, with people running here and there frantically. It's a brilliant setup that has us as the audience just as nervous to meet her as everyone else is. Miranda steps out of her town car in a pair of red Prada platform pumps and a Prada bag, its logo unabashedly splashed across the front. She's also wearing a purple fitted dress with a boat neckline underneath a dark blue fur coat. Individually, the items seem like they wouldn't play well together. It's a lot of different textures and colors for one outfit, and yet it totally works. The color of Miranda's dress is often associated with power, pride, and wealth. It's also the color of royalty, and in the fashion world, Miranda is the queen. It's an absolutely brilliant costuming decision because right from the start we're shown all we're going to need to know about the character. The following day, Miranda's wearing a black dress with a gold beaded blazer and matching accessories. She's wearing this during the infamous and inspiring cerulean speech. I can't include it here because the video will instantly get copyright claimed, but I highly recommend watching it, especially if you're one of those people who think the fashion industry is silly. Following this, we get a montage scene where Miranda repeatedly throws her coat and bag onto Andy's desk, not only showing the passage of time, but providing a concise look at Miranda's style philosophy, simple and to the point, but still making a statement. The directness and uniformity of these outfits translates to her personality. Not only is Miranda a creature of habit, but she knows what she wants and expects nothing less. Her workwear for the rest of the film continues as we've seen so far, with variations of a dress with a belt being her most common ensemble, with a suit here and there. A side note, I love a woman in a suit. It's sexy, it's chic, it's comfortable. They're a staple in my own closet, and there's dozens of ways you can wear one. I prefer an oversized jacket with a straight leg pant, but that's what looks best on my body type. Everyone is different. At a charity benefit, the film's version of the Met Gala, Miranda wears a black Valentino floor-length gown. While overall quite a simple design, in line with the rest of Miranda's wardrobe, the wide sweetheart neckline shows off her shoulders and décolletage in an absolutely lovely way. One thing that both Meryl Streep and Patricia set out to do with Miranda was to show that you can be fashionable and sexy regardless of your age. It's why Miranda embraces her white hair and regularly wears clothes that highlight her maturity without appearing dowdy. When she and Andy go to Paris for Fashion Week, Miranda continues wearing what she was wearing in New York. And the simplicity of her style is now an advantage, as she can seamlessly appear on trend wherever she goes. During their trip, her husband informs her that he wants a divorce, and this is the one and only time we see Miranda not look poised. She has no makeup on, Meryl Streep's idea, and is sitting around in her hotel bathrobe. She looks just as fragile as she feels, and despite how demanding and vicious she's been thus far, we can't help but feel sorry for her. While in Paris, she also wears this gorgeous dress, which I'll go into further detail about in Andy's section. Bear with me, it'll be worth it. At the end of the film, after Andy's quit, we discover that Miranda cared about and respected her more than she initially let on, writing a recommendation letter that essentially guarantees a job anywhere she applies to. She's still wearing the same style of clothing we've seen her in throughout the film, showing the audience that she's still the same person, which is honestly a relief. A person like Miranda wouldn't suddenly have a dramatic change in personality because of a single person, and it'd have been a huge disservice to her character. Andrea Sachs. Played by Anne Hathaway, Andy Sachs is the film's protagonist. She's a recent college grad with aspirations to start a career in serious journalism. The film begins with a montage of different women getting ready for work, with Andy immediately coming off as less put together and less fashionable. Everything from her choice of underwear to her breakfast are portrayed as inelegant in comparison. Her interview outfit is a pair of ill-fitting black trousers, a baggy purple sweater atop a white button-up shirt, and a tan blazer. The outfit in theory is not bad, but because everything fits so poorly, she immediately looks frumpy instead of fashionable. This sort of preppy look has come back into style recently, as seen here. So take this as an inadvertent lesson in the importance of wearing properly fitted clothes. And just as an aside, I'm astounded at how ill-prepared Andy is for this interview, which I suppose is a smart choice for character building purposes. Her thought process is that because it's a fashion magazine, she doesn't need to take it seriously. What I find interesting is that both Miranda and Andy are wearing purple in the scene, but hers is in a far lighter shade than Miranda's, perhaps foreshadowing her potential to become a future Miranda. After securing the position, Andy comes back the next day in yet another hideous sweater and a plaid skirt. And once again, the outfit is not bad in theory, just in execution. All day, Andy is told by other characters how awful her outfit is. First by Nigel, who attempts to get her to wear a pair of slingback pumps.
Miranda hired me. She knows what I look like.
Do you?
Second by Emily, who makes fun of her skirt not once, but twice.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you have some prior commitment? Some hideous skirt convention you have to go to?
What exactly is she wearing?
Her grandmother's skirt.
Then by Miranda, who makes her sweater the focal point of her monologue. I'm genuinely shocked that Andy didn't just immediately go home and cry after this, cause wow, what a day. We don't see much development in Andy's outfits following this. It's just one bad sweater after another, which is actually perfect. Andy isn't learning anything, she's just going through the motions. She does what she's told and runs errands as needed, but she's not adapting to her surroundings or taking the initiative to learn about fashion on her own time. After failing one of Miranda's tasks, understandably mind you, Andy just about gives up. She's frustrated and feeling underappreciated, which Nigel firmly scolds her for. She's a grown-up and has to act like it.
Be serious. You are not trying. You are whining. Do you want me to say poor you? Miranda's picking on you. Poor you, poor Andy. She's just doing her job.
It's after this that a light bulb goes off in Andy's brain, and she asks for Nigel's help with a makeover, which interestingly his character alluded to before he ever met her.
Who is that sad little person? Are we doing a before and after piece I don't know about?
He grabs various pieces from the runway closet and they become Andy's new wardrobe. While the majority of her post-makeover looks are made up of Chanel.
Okay, now Chanel, you're in desperate need of Chanel.
Andy also wears Dolce & Gabbana, Miu Miu, and Calvin Klein. What I find interesting is that Andy finds herself drawn to specific brands, much like actual people in fashion. And it's a smart decision because it implies that she does have taste just for specific things.
Dolce for you?
I love that.
Luxury brands have their own identity and aesthetic that tends to prevail even as years pass and trends change, and it makes sense to have her wear brands that have a history of being feminine and elegant, a style of dress she seems to gravitate towards. Andy's makeover moment is one for the history books, and the way she makes both Emily and Serena's jaws drop is so satisfying. She's not only wearing Chanel boots, yes, they really are Chanel, but also a Chanel jacket and a Fendi purse. Following this, we get another great montage where we see Andy on her way to work, cutting to a different outfit every few seconds. Every single one is fantastic, and I love the variety. It's as if Nigel is putting her in as many different styles as he can so they can figure out what she does and doesn't like. There's so many outfits here that I couldn't possibly talk about each one, so I'll just talk about my favorites.
There's a sort of montage sequence where Annie Hathaway's got numerous fabulous outfits that they go through. And John, one day I came home and he was watching it. And he was watching the montage bit and he goes, and that's my favorite outfit.
First, the green coat with leopard on the sleeves and collar. Paired with the gloves and the round glasses, it's very Audrey Hepburn. Fun fact, Anne Hathaway actually wound up taking this coat home. The brown bodycon dress with the brown vinyl coat is understated but sophisticated, also incredibly easy to replicate. And just like Miranda, I'm very impressed with this all-black ensemble. The slightly oversized boot with the tiny dress and the long coat is just perfect. Andy's next look is Chanel to the third power. She's wearing a Chanel dress, a Chanel necklace, and even Chanel shoes. The dress, straight from Chanel Fall/Winter 2003, is so cute that I would love to have it in my own closet. You know, if it didn't cost thousands of dollars. If you watched my Emily in Paris review, then I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not giving these designer-heavy outfits a hard time. And it's quite simple. They make sense in the context of the movie. It's already been established that Nigel has been dressing her with pieces from the runway closet. And secondly, there's thought behind each outfit, and most importantly, restraint. It doesn't look like a Chanel boutique threw up on her. Around this time, Andy also begins to truly understand and appreciate the fashion industry, and we can see her not only become comfortable in her work, but in her own skin. The day after Andy accidentally intrudes on a private moment between Miranda and her husband, she's put through the ringer, with one of her more difficult tasks being forced to bring Miranda an unpublished Harry Potter book. While she does eventually succeed, her day consists of a lot of running around in a belted green Calvin Klein dress, and her sunglasses in this scene are also Chanel. At the charity benefit, she wears a gown by John Galliano, and it's so perfect that even Emily can't help but compliment her.
Oh my god.
Miranda, you look so chic.
Oh, thanks, Em.
This is another one of my favorite looks from the film. Everything from the dress to the hair to the makeup is flawless, and Anne Hathaway looks stunning. One thing to note about this dress is how much it resembles Miranda's, another case of the two women dressing similarly. The biggest difference between the two are also the differences between the two women. Andy is more covered up, appearing younger and more innocent, whereas Miranda bears her shoulders brazenly, her confidence at play. Her following outfit, when she's informed that she must tell Emily about Paris, is an intentional combination of her previous style with her current one. She's again wearing a white blouse with a sweater, but now it's become a cohesive look. Although, I do hate that hat. This outfit shines a spotlight on Andy's current situation. The battle between one part of herself that is embracing fashion and wants to please Miranda, and the other part who wants to hold on to the past. After breaking up with her boyfriend and heading to Paris, Andy's outfits become more mature and have a hint of previously unseen sexuality, as seen with the lower necklines and tighter silhouettes. Hardly a coincidence, as it's around this time that she becomes more open to the idea of a relationship with Christian Thompson. The first outfit that we know Andy styles herself is this one, and it's worth congratulating. It's not an exact copy-paste of the outfits Nigel has put her in. She's actually developed her own style. She's wearing a dark purple pencil skirt, a leather bustier, and a black peplum jacket. It creates a gorgeous silhouette that is remarkably sophisticated with just a touch of sex appeal. The following day, she wears a dark green dress with a black collar cape shrug thing. I don't know what to call it. Besides creating beautiful movement when she walks, the dress is notable for one big reason: the neckline, which resembles the dress that Miranda is wearing. This outfit shows just how far Andy has come since the beginning of the film, and that she's now on a path to becoming just like Miranda. This absolutely terrifies her, and she makes the decision to quit, leaving Miranda without a word. And no, I'm not overanalyzing things. Anne Hathaway even said it in an interview.
I didn't notice it until that time that the neckline of my outfit and Meryl's outfit was exactly the same. And Patricia Fields was she was just such a genius. It was just this like subtle thing that she put in there to show Andy was becoming Miranda.
Yes.
Her final outfit, jeans, brown boots, a black turtleneck, and a brown leather jacket, is the perfect way to end the film. She doesn't have access to a designer wardrobe anymore. She's wearing what she can afford. But unlike the beginning of the film, now she has style. She knows what silhouettes complement her figure and what fabrics and colors go together. Her time at Runway and her time with Miranda has changed her for the better. As you could probably tell from this entire video, I adore the costuming in this movie. But I do have one teeny tiny qualm, and it's one that I have with a lot of movies. Reuse the clothes, goddammit. For a character like Miranda Priestley, it makes sense that she wouldn't wear anything more than once. Not only because she has the means to constantly buy new pieces, but also because she's a celebrity of sorts. But both Andy and Emily should be re-wearing their designer items. Not only because that'd bring a sense of realism to the world, but also because the fashion-obsessed part of my brain wants to see how their characters would style things differently. Take Emily's blazer in this scene. Wouldn't it look great with a nice tailored pant or even a form-fitting black leather skirt? Just something to think about. If this film had been made today, I think there may have been less of an emphasis on high-end designers and more focus on indie brands, luxury staples, vintage clothing, and even fast fashion. I also think the looks would have been more varied, more experimental, and less about supposed fashion rules. I know tons of people in the industry who shop at Zara and H&M. Many fashion writers write about and support smaller businesses. And with the rise of social media, finding the next hot trend is only a click away. I don't know if it would have worked as well, but it definitely would have been interesting to see. I want a new fashion movie for a new decade. Which outfit in The Devil Wears Prada is your favorite? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!